Welcome to Dodgers Daily. I'm Casey Porter. I'm so glad that you decided to tune in. Hey, fans, we have a great show for you today. We're going to cover the last two games of the Freeways series. There were two web gems, one by Jason Heyward, one by Miguel Rojas. We're going to cover the performance of Noah Syndergaard. Hey, leave a comment. Are you worried about Noah Syndergaard? His velo is down. He was about 94 miles an hour, and for two performances in a row, he has been touched up a little bit. Leave a comment. Make it intelligent. Of course, he's had a couple of outings where he struggled just a touch. But, hey, are you a little bit worried about him? And what are your concerns? And where did the Dodgers go from here? And there was a lot of great prospect action that we're going to get into. So I'm super excited about that. But, hey, before we dive into all of it, just a reminder, if you like this video and if you like this kind of content, go ahead and click that like button, leave a comment, tell all your friends about Dodgers Daily, become a subscriber. After you subscribe, go ahead and turn on your notifications, click that notification bell. That way, every time Dodgers Daily releases a new video, you will be notified. You won't miss a thing, and Dodgers Daily can keep growing, and we can keep providing you content like this in the future. Okay, let's not waste any more time. Let's get to the last two games of the Freeway series, and let's talk some Dodgers baseball. I think we all know that this is Noah Syndergaard, and in his last two outings, he has gotten touched up a little bit. We've talked all camp that his velo, he was hoping that getting with the Dodgers, you just saw 95 on our four-seam. There's 94. We were all hoping that his velo would get back up there around, there's a good change up at 88, around 100 miles an hour. It has not done that, but, his last two outings, like I said, he's gotten touched up a little bit, but before that, he had given up almost nothing. But like I said, the last two outings, he's given up some runs. This last outing, he gave up 5. Okay, but, whenever you're talking about veterans, talk about J.D. Martinez when he was struggling at the plate, there's a good little slider/cutter type pitch, a good little two-seam. Whenever you're talking about veterans, you're talking about guys with track records in spring training, like I've talked about with J.D. Martinez. You're not concerned about numbers, you're concerned about signs, signs that, hey, are they rounding into themselves? I like that little cutter. Are they rounding into form, or are they a ways away? There's that center cut changeup. And so some of the positive takeaways from last night, although Noah Syndergaard, like I said, he did give up 5 runs, he did get to his pitch limit. And I've talked several different times that guys on Tommy John, it's very important that they build up the right pitch limit. There's a little slider that he hung. That's one of the things that happens whenever you come off of Tommy John and you don't quite have all the feels. You hang your sliders, you hang your changeups. We've seen that 2 different times already in this video that the Angels have taken advantage of, and there's just a 4-seam that was in on the inner half. There's a bigger slider, so he has that little cutter type shape to his slider, then the bigger slider. That seems to be a theme with all Dodgers pitchers this year. There's that good 2-seam. That's one of the positive takeaways. See that good 2-seam? That there's another changeup that was good, but there's that cutter type pitch, and then the 4-seam up in the zone. But that 2-seam was good for him last night. And, not reaching 100, there's a little good cutter pitch. Not reaching 100, reaching about 94 miles an hour. I'm going to click watch again on this. He may have to rely on that 2-seam until he gets all his feels back and gets that velo back. And you can tell that 2-seam because it rides back into righties. There's a 4-seam that you can see stayed straight. There's a 2-seam that he started out over the outer half of the plate and came back over the middle of the plate. Mike Trout took advantage of that. There's that 2-seam again. See how it has that arm side run to it? So there is one of the positive takeaways. And then he reached his pitch limit. And like I've said several times with guys coming off of Tommy John, that he just need to keep throwing. The more they throw, the better they feel the ball in their hand, which means the better secondary pitches they'll have and the better command they'll have. Okay, and then his sinker was good that I mentioned just a minute ago, and then his changeup was good. It got weak contact. I like that little cutter pitch. I think it's actually labeled as a slider, but a little smaller there for the cutter. So he got weak contact on his changeup. His cutter slash slider pitch was good at times, especially to lefties. So if you're looking for signs and not numbers, there were some positive signs that, hey, if Noah Syndergaard can become consistent, see, he just hung a changeup right there. Not a big deal. That's a feel type thing coming off of Tommy John, and a mistake. There's that little changeup too. And a mistake. Sometimes you just make mistakes, and that was one right there. So there are the positive signs you look for in a veteran. There were some last night. And then he also threw a curveball. So a 5-pitch mix, that's a lot, for a guy still trying to get the feels back coming off of Tommy John. I've said it a million different times now, but trying to throw 5 different pitches and then trying to shape your slider, in 2 or 3 different ways, that's a lot for a guy in his situation, and probably why on a couple of scenarios he didn't execute the way he wanted to and got hurt. So they're the positive takeaways from Noah Syndergaard's last outing. Mookie Betts went deep on Monday for the 3rd time in spring training. At that point, he had 4 hits, and 3 of them were home runs. Okay, this was hit 109. The home run that you're going to see was hit 109.5 miles an hour, at least if we get to the home run. That was actually the base hit that he had last night. I love that because it was up and in, and he was able to cover that up and in pitch. That's a big one for Mookie Betts. Okay, so the home run he hit Monday night went 109.5 miles an hour, so that tells you that he's feeling pretty good. The bat speed is good because almost 110 miles an hour is really, really good. It went 389 feet. Okay, so Mookie Betts, he hit 313 in the World Baseball Classic. His OPS for the Dodgers so far in spring training is over 1,100. So looks to me like he's rounding into form. What I would like to see out of Mookie Betts, we know he has the 5 tools because he can hit for power and average. I would like to see more of what we just saw right there. Get a base hit, get on, get over, get in, and at the top of the lineup, be, more of a table setter and not the guy that tries to do it all as far as producing runs and getting hits and all that. Sometimes just get on base, get a base hit, steal a base, advance a base, use your speed. I'd like to see more of a table-setting role for Mookie Betts this year. Of course, we know, like I said, he can do it all. But Mookie Betts, okay, again, so far, a good World Baseball Classic. His batting average didn't look great in spring training, but his OPS did. So, looks to me like Mookie Betts ready for the season to start. This is Lukewilliams. He went deep on Monday night as the Dodgers hit 4 home runs in that game. As a matter of fact, all the runs were home runs at one point, which I don't like. I want the Dodgers offense to be a little bit more dynamic where they can score in different ways other than hitting home runs, but you'll always take the home runs. Luke is a 26-year-old. He played in the Dominican Winter League, so he's very motivated and coming into spring training ready to go. And this past offseason, that's where he played. He has 223 major league at-bats, and he was signed as a free agent to a minor league contract. So one of those guys, again, in the Dodgers system, if they sign major league experience, minor league contract, all upside, no downside. So there's a good look at Lukewilliams, free agent signing in the offseason. All right, this was a cool interaction. Miguel Vargas, one of the Dodgers' biggest prospects, going to be the starting day second baseman. At least we all, of course, the Dodgers change the lineup every day, so who knows, but surely going to be the second baseman to start the season. Cool interaction. They had Dino Ebel, they had him mic'd up, and, one of the questions about Miguel Vargas was, is he athletic enough to play a middle infield position? Listen to Dino Ebel. Go to my Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Listen to Dino Ebel talk about the athletic ability, the running ability of Miguel Vargas. He actually calls him a plus runner. I thought Dodgers fans would be interested in seeing that. Don't listen to me. I'm just a podcaster. I'm just a guy talking. Listen to the people who know. Dino Ebel, the way he said it, plus runner for Miguel Vargas. When Christaylor hits one, it stays hit. Look at that timing. I love that. He stayed right through that baseball. It looks to me like his timing is back. Listening to Eric Karros, he's talked a couple times about, starting the hands slow and making everything slow, and then boom, exploding through the ball as you hit through it. And it looks like that's what Christaylor's doing. His bat head is getting out on the baseball, and he is hitting home runs. He went yard for the 2nd game in a row on Monday, 3rd time in spring training. That home run traveled, again, 108.3. So when you have exit velocities like Christaylor, you hear it. I heard it when he was in Oklahoma City. It's so impressive. He hit it 402 feet. 2nd home run in a row that's over 400 feet. It's a guy that you keep working with, and especially when he's so versatile, because not everybody can hit the ball as hard as Christaylor does. I'm telling you, in person, if you watch him take BP, if you just watch him play a lot of games in person, and you watch the ball and hear the ball come off his bat, it's just super impressive. It just sounds different. Look at that, man. He let that ball get a little bit deep. He stayed through it, and boy, he center cut that baseball and hit that ball hard. Look at that center cut, and very far. And so Christaylor, maybe he's rounding into form. He's hit, right around 250 in his last 5 or 6 games, and he's hit some home runs, and the Dodgers could really use that. This is Damon Keith. I love this young man out of Cal Baptist. This is his entire at-bat. We may get through it. We may not if you go to my social medias. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. You can see his entire at-bat. I love this young man. You know, watch this. He rips one down the left field line. This just barely goes foul, okay? And then what you're getting ready to see here in a minute, he takes a pitch on the outer half. So up and in, he rips one down the left field line. You throw him on the outer half, you're getting ready to see what he does, is he just rips one into right field. And this is something that if you follow Damon Keith, he is elite, not good. He's elite at going with the pitch. As a matter of fact, check this out. You know, you have pull percentages, you have middle percentages, which means how often do you hit the ball up the middle. Then you have oppo percentages. Look at that. Ball in the outer half, take that thing to right. That pitch before was in on the inner half, you turn on it. How about that? His oppo percentage, meaning he hit the ball to the opposite field 39.4% of the time. How about that? Damon Keith, this dude can rake, a tremendous young offensive prospect. Let me run through that again. Watch how he turns on that. He's going to turn on that pitch and hit it down the left field line. Just a dude that can absolutely rake out of Cal Baptist. I love this young man. Damon Keith, keep an eye on him. Look at him rip that pitch up in the zone down the left field line. It just seems like every time Miguel Rojas takes the field, he is doing something special. We saw the web gym, okay, and we've seen home runs. We saw the big two RBI base hit last night. So well, I'll tell you what, if we go long enough with this, you're going to see his second home run of spring, okay, and his average is around 270, 275, somewhere in there. I don't know the exact number. This morning it was 273 as of this clip. His OPS is 810, so not only is he getting hits, he's actually doing damage too, hitting home runs, hitting doubles, driving in runs, and then we know about the elite defense. And hey, if you have a chance, go back to last night's broadcast and go, I don't know what inning it was, but Kirsten Watson talked to him in the dugout and interviewed him and talked about some of the different roles he's going to play for this team. It was a fantastic 5 minutes of video and audio that Kirsten Watson just asked perfect questions. Miguel Rojas answered them perfectly, talking about being a mentor to Miguel Vargas, how it's a two-way relationship. Miguel Vargas, the young second baseman, needs to be comfortable enough to ask Miguel Rojas the right questions. And, being a veteran, you just need to be there and be available for those young guys to answer their question with. And what I loved about what Rojas said is he kept emphasizing, as a veteran, my job is with the young guys to make them feel comfortable. There's that home run. And, we all know that as a baseball player, to perform the way that you are capable of, you have to feel comfortable, okay? So I love that comment. Hey, how about Caleb Ferguson? Fergie has looked great the other night. If you go to, again, I've said this a couple times, but all my social media platforms, you can see every pitch of his outing, and it was impressive. That four-seam up in the zone, very good. He threw 10 of those. He threw 10 four-seams, and his four-seam was averaging 95 miles an hour, 95.4 to be exact. He also threw a couple curveballs, 3 cutters, 9 strikes. Again, 2 Tommy John surgeries. I love these stories of resilience like Caleb Ferguson. And he threw 9 strikes and 15 pitches, so it was a great outing for him. And, hey, how about this? He's only allowed to run in 1 outing so far in spring training out of his 8 outings total, and his ERA is 2.57. But, again, only 1 run in 8 outings. There's that sweeping slider at 86. So you have the fastball at 95.4, the sweeping slider at 86, 8 miles an hour off of each other. That should play very, very well. So, hey, leave a comment. Do you think Caleb Ferguson is back? Do you think Fergie will have a big role for this team and be a big part of the bullpen for the Dodgers? What do you think about that? Leave a comment below. But Caleb Ferguson, again, 95.4 on the four-seam, 86 on that sweeping slider. So, boy, I think, he looked good the other night. And like I said, he threw 9 strikes and 15 pitches. That's only given up a run in 1 of his 8 outings so far. Can't miss out on this web gem. Check this out. And the thing about this, look, it almost fell down. It popped up. He caught it. And then he throws it in. Hey, how about a smile, Hayward? I know you're locked in, dude. And I know you're trying to make a club and you're trying to change your swing and you're trying to do all these things. But, hey, man, what a catch. Baseball's fun, right? Okay, crack a smile like Fergie did. Let's have a little bit of fun in the outfield, and let's show fans how much fun we're having playing the game and trying to rise and become, the type of player that he was a couple of years ago. Look at Fergie. Fergie loved that one. He said, hey, he caught that ball. How about that? That's 1 more out on my record. But, what, just kind of cracked me up that Hayward is so serious right now, and he's so locked in about making this team and helping this team that, he just kind of adjusts his socks, but have a little fun, smile, huh? I'm going to cut back in, and I should have said this at the top of the show, but this is a really cool deal. Gus Farland, who was in the Dodgers system last year, he got picked up in the Rule 5 draft by the Milwaukee Brewers, and Gus is from the Minneapolis-St. Paul area, and so Milwaukee is the closest team that's not the Twins. And so he was excited to go to Milwaukee because that was closer to back home to begin with, and then he got told, I think it was Monday, that he is going to make the Major League roster for opening day. I've got the video on my social medias. I've shared it, and it was just, hey, go and watch it, because I got to see Gus quite a bit. I got to see him when he was struggling to touch at Tulsa. I got to see him. Matter of fact, I actually got to have a conversation with him right after the Dodgers moved him to the bullpen, and, he was a little bit down about the fact that he wasn't a starter anymore, wasn't quite sure what that future was going to bring for him. Then he struggled in the middle of the year. Then his brother Louis, which he was super excited about, but still, you want to make the major leagues too. His brother Louis made it to the major leagues, and so, and then they changed his arm slot. So last year was tough for Gus in a lot of ways, as he put it in that video that if you go and watch it, there was a lot of sleepless nights for him. And so when he got told that he's going to make the major league club, that was a pretty emotional moment, and it would, do yourself a favor and go check that out. That was pretty fun. But, him and Ryan Pepiot are really, really, really good friends. And Ryan Pepiot last week got told that he's going to be the fifth starter and then pitched last night. And then Gus Farland this week got told that he's going to be on the Major League roster. So I believe those two young men watched the Super Bowl together. And so, boy, how cool is that? That's the stories that you like to hear. So I wanted to make sure that Dodgers fans knew all about that. Boy, how good is Freddie Freeman? I call him the fantastic Freddie Freeman. He had 2 hits last night. He finished spring training just like he finishes seemingly every season. He hit .316, which, wow. I mean, he had 2 hits, like I said. How about this? Multi-hit games, something that you should become accustomed to from Freddie Freeman. He had 54 of them last year. Try that on for size. 162 game season. 54 of the games. Last year he had more than 1 hit. That's amazing. Look how he stays up the middle. He is, I talk about it a lot, but the middle of the field is the biggest part of the field. Even between the second baseman and the shortstop, there's the most amount of room, at least when there's not a shift. And then in the outfield, it's the biggest part of the field. So, if you use the middle part of the field, that's where most of your base hits and doubles come from. And nobody hits the ball in the middle of the field better than Freddie Freeman. If you hear him talk, he'll tell you his timing. He tries to time the ball up the middle, and then if he's a little bit early, he does this right here and pulls the ball. If he's a little bit late, then he shoots it into left center. So Freddie Freeman, well, he is just an absolute elite baseball player. He's elite at everything he does. JD Martinez had 3 hits to end spring training, and one more reminder about him. He's notoriously a slow starter. In the past, as a matter of fact, spring training, I've said it, he's had about 4 different spring trainings where he's hit right around 200 or below, and then hit 300 or above, or right around 300 for the season. Look at him go and get that down and away pitch, hit that ball into right field, kind of like we saw Damon Keith just a minute ago. Here's a 2-0 pitch, and there's one on the inner half that he pulls. So you're looking for signs for a guy like JD Martinez. When he starts taking that pitch on the outer half to right field, then he starts pulling that pitch on the inner half, you know that his timing is starting to be very good. His body is starting to be connected, and he's starting to feel it at the plate. So JD Martinez, great sign. Last night, he's had some good signs coming into last night's game, heading into the first game of the season. All right, it's prospect time. This is Juan Murillo from the Dominican, who is hitting 99. Check that out. You saw it right there with his 4-seam. He also had a cutter, a sinker, slider, and 2-seam. So 99-mile-an-hour fastball, cutter, sinker, slider, 2-seam. As you see, it's going to be about control. He has not been on the mound since 2019. Look at that little, I don't know if he considers that a changeup or whatever he calls that, but that's dirty. That thing had some serious tumble to it. And there's a 91-mile-an-hour changeup right there. Then he pulls his slider pitch. But, I say that it's hard to tell. Sometimes even, coaches disagree. There's a changeup too. 91-mile-an-hour changeup. That's pretty impressive. There's a 98-mile-an-hour. Look to me, that looks like a sinker right there. And then there's an 85-mile-an-hour changeup. So, again, 99 for Juan Murillo. Cutter, sinker, slider, two-seam. Let me go ahead and repeat that and play that again so I can make sure you know exactly who Juan Murillo is. Let me push play here. Okay, so Juan Murillo, again, has not played since 2019 due to injury. The Dodgers wanted to see him on the big field last night in front of a bunch of people, and he came out firing that 99-mile-an-hour fastball, and I'm sure Dodgers fans were like, well, who is this guy? Well, that's who he is. Again, he's from the DR. He's a Dominican. He's an international prospect that has not pitched since 2019. That's Yorbit Vivas making that play and throwing it to Kyle Nevin. I talked about Kyle just the other day. Has not pitched since 2019 since injury, so we'll see if Juan Murillo can, stay healthy and keep making a mark like he did last night. Okay, really cool moment. Kylehurt, look at that 95-mile-an-hour fastball. I'll tell you what, man, he's from San Diego, and his dad was there. I got a chance to talk to or communicate with his dad a little bit. Got a couple of pictures. It was really cool. Get a good look at Kylehurt right there, because I promise you this will not be the last time that you hear from him. He is a Southern California boy. He went to USC. Look at that arm side fastball at 94. You saw the glove side fastball at 95. So you had to know last night, Kyle was, super excited and super, super nervous being a Southern California boy, getting to pitch in Los Angeles in front of all of his people. And look at that 95-mile-an-hour fastball with that ride and run to it. I know the Dodgers like more ride than they like run, but when you get just a little bit of that run, it just makes it really tough on righties because it jams them. So Kylehurt, get a good look at him. I love that young man. I love watching him pitch. I had a chance to talk to him in Tulsa last year. He made it up to Double-A, and as a matter of fact, he threw a 91-mile-an-hour slider last year, and he actually threw a 5-inning no-hitter. I believe it was his last outing at Great Lakes before he got moved up to Double-A Tulsa. So he threw a 5-inning no-hitter, a 91-mile-an-hour slider. You see that ride and run of that four-seam fastball at 94, 95, and I think if he loosens up and gets a little bit more comfortable in a setting that he's used to and comfortable with, I think you can see him hit a little bit higher than that. And he's also in that piggyback role. Look at that 95-mile-an-hour fastball. So he's very versatile. He can start and give you a 4 or 5 inning start like we saw with his 5-inning no-hitter, or he can be that piggyback guy. Let me repeat this one more time. He can be that piggyback guy that comes in after an opener, or to me, you could also put him at the back end if you needed to every now and then. Let him take that 94, 95 max out and end up being 96, 97, maybe 98. So a lot of options for Kylehurt. Again, local boy from San Diego, went to USC. Dad played football at Ole Miss. Grandpa played football in the NFL, so he comes from great genes, and, he has championship type, background to him, championship type people that he's around and grew up around all the time. So I'm super huge and super high on Kylehurt. I love that pitch. So there you have it. There's our show on the last 2 games in the Freeway series, the last 2 games of spring training. Next up is the first game of the season. Hey, is Miguel Vargas going to start at second base? Is James Outman going to be the center fielder? You got to tune in to find out. Leave a comment. Tell me what you think. Leave a comment and tell me what your lineup would be. What would your lineup be for both offensive and defensively? What would your lineup be for opening day? Hey, so that's our show for you today. But before we get out of here, just a reminder, again, if you like this video and if you like this kind of content, go ahead and click that like button, leave a comment, tell all your friends about Dodgers Daily, become a subscriber, click that notification bell after you subscribe. That way you'll be notified every time Dodgers Daily releases a new video, and you won't miss a thing. Dodgers Daily can keep growing, and we can keep providing you content like this in the future. Okay, as always, I want to thank you again for tuning in and say, go Dodgers.